In 2018's God of War, Atreus asks Mimir, the self-dubbed smartest man alive, why he served the horrible king of the Aesir, Odin. Mimir replies that it's his career, and if one is to make a living as a counselor to kings, one cannot rule out petty maniacs, as the job market is scarce in his chosen field. It's an explanation that's passable enough at the time, and it seems in line with what we learn about his former masters in God of War and its sequel, Ragnarok. But the more I thought on it, the less I'm satisfied with Mimir's justification for his actions. It's not that I think that Mimir is lying. In fact, I think he may actually believe what he's saying to Atreus here. But I also believe there's a deeper reason why Mimir served Odin dutifully, faithfully, and in some cases, monstrously, for so many years. And it all has to do with his form, his nature, and his past life as a merry wanderer of the woods named Robin of the Goodfellows. Santa Monica Studios took several liberties with Mimir in God of War. The greatest of all, perhaps, was having him hail from the British Isles, easily discernible from his luscious Scottish accent.
Terrified? I'll have you know I'm at the very most deeply apprehensive. And breaking tension with humour is the sacred duty of a travelling companion. How very dare you! Babbling!
And we'll get to that in a minute. Mimir pretty obviously isn't British in older Norse mythology, but he is a man who leaves his home to serve a king. In the Heimskringla by Snorri Sturluson, a Norse poet famous in part for his collections of Norse mythology, two groups of gods, the Aesir and the Vanir, grow tired of their ancient war and broker for peace. Instead of arranging a marriage between Freya and Odin as in the games, however, Mimir himself is sent as a hostage to the Vanir. But the Vanir grow suspicious that they have been cheated. They cut off Mimir's head and send it back to Odin, who uses his magic to preserve the head and give it the ability to speak again. In the Poetic Edda, Mimir also lives at a well filled with magic mead at the base of Yggdrasil, and when Odin asks him for knowledge, he makes Odin pluck out his eye and throw it into the well, and Mimir drinks out of it every morning. Mimir is weird, so it's easy to see the inspiration for Mimir's character in God of War. But why is he Scottish? It can be easy to miss if you're not paying attention to the dialogue in God of War's Norse saga, as it's only mentioned a handful of times. But this version of Mimir is one and the same with the English spirit Robin Goodfellow. Yes, English, not Scottish, but let's not split hairs, it's all the same diseased little island. Most people, if they know Robin Goodfellow at all, will know him from Shakespeare's comedy A Midsummer Night's Dream, where even there he's in an amalgamated form, combined with the spirits Puck and hobgoblins. And indeed, this very form of him seems to have been used by Santa Monica as Mimir tells of his first master as a fairy king, ostensibly the fairy king Oberon from the very same play. Prior to Shakespeare's work, Robin Goodfellow was a singular character in English folklore, whom many of the English saw as real and would take active steps to invite into their home. Why would they do this? Because Robin Goodfellow isn't just a merry wanderer of the night, playing pranks on those foolish enough to walk his woods. Robin Goodfellow, along with Puck, hobgoblins, hobs, hodges, kobolds, brownies, and countless others, all orbit the larger category of household deities. These spirits manifest in all manner of forms and natures, but two things most of them share in common are playing pranks and a penchant for doing housework. They protect the home they inhabit and do all manner of work and chores for the inhabitants. English author Samuel Rowlands describes it nicely in a poem about Robin Goodfellow. Known by the name of Robin, as we hear, and that his eyes as big as saucers were, who came o' nights and would make kitchens clean, and in the bed bepinch a lazy queen. Was much in mills about the grinding meal, and I sure take it taught the millers steal. Amongst the cream bowls and milk pans would be, and with the country wenches, who but he? To wash their dishes for some fresh cheese hire, or set their pots and kettles about the fire. 'Twas a mad Robin that did divers pranks, for which with some good cheer they gave him thanks. And that was all the kindness he expected. With gain, it seems, he was not much infected. I think we can all sympathize with Robin. Who among us hasn't done all manner of ridiculous things for a bit of delicious cheese? But it's the last few lines that really pique my interest in relation to Mimir. All Robin Goodfellow wants is for people to be nice to him and to thank him for his work. That's all it really takes. And this translates to Mimir in God of War, I believe. Mimir's form, the smartest man alive, career counselor of kings, is merely the way he presents himself to the world. It is the light in which he wishes to be seen, a knowledgeable, discerning man, completely in control of all of his choices and the trajectory of his life. But Mimir's nature, his true being as Robin Goodfellow, is quite different. Mimir craves kindness, craves approval. He is a slave to this desire and will perform all manner of atrocities for the household that shows it to him. We see it time and time again in his own self-professed history, each story more tragic than the last. The fairy king Oberon protected him from the consequences of his youthful pranks. When Oberon's amusement and generosity ran dry, Mimir didn't stick it out and make things right. He fled. When Mimir came to Midgard and met kind King Aldis, who gained Mimir's trust and loyalty. But when Mimir's poor judgment of character ushered in the usurper Hrolf, who murdered Aldis and stole his throne, Mimir didn't stick around and make things right. He fled. And when Odin's reputation, no doubt the rose-tinted falsehoods spread by Odin himself, led Mimir to his court, Odin saw his value and treated him well. Mimir would go on to concoct any number of awful schemes to preserve this relationship, brokering Odin's marriage to Freya, installing the refineries to further the exploitation of the dwarves, but none perhaps more striking and relevant than the Lungbakker, a majestic sea beast Mimir enslaved to please Odin. And why? To provide something as simple as oil for Odin's lanterns. A mundane, ordinary thing, in keeping with the household duties Robin Goodfellow performs in English folklore, expanded to a massive, awesome scale in an attempt to garner the continued favor of Mimir's manipulative master Odin. But these terrible crimes begin to weigh on Mimir, and as Mimir starts to voice his doubts, as his conscience grows, so too does Odin's cruelty towards him grow. Mimir does something different this time, though. He doesn't run. He's grown too much to flee his mistakes now, so he stays and tries to make things right. Mimir thinks if he says the right thing, does the right thing, makes the right show of loyalty, he can regain Odin's favor and change the downward path of cruelty his master is set on. But Mimir has misjudged Odin's true nature. The Allfather isn't simply lost. He hasn't simply veered from the righteous path. This increasingly violent, manipulative, drunken monster Mimir sees rising in his master is Odin's true nature. Odin sees Mimir's changing counsel as disloyalty, and Odin Allfather, once kind and inviting to Mimir, his master, his keeper, turns cruel, false, becomes his jailer, his torturer. And for 109 winters, Mimir, bound to a tree, looks out upon the mountains of Midgard and has all the time in the world to ponder the ever crueler deeds he committed for just a little bit of kindness. The 1999 CRPG classic Planescape Torment asked of the player a question: what can change the nature of a man? I'd say a century of torture imprisoned in a tree on a mountaintop would do the trick. So along comes an outsider, a tattooed demigod traveling with a young boy. A man who, very much like Mimir, fled his homeland in search of peace and a new life in a world where no one knows your true name. Mimir is desperate for freedom and offers the only thing he knows how to offer: his service. So Mimir gains another master in a long line of kings and gods, but something different happens this time. This god doesn't treat him with kindness. In fact, he's incredibly cold. But Mimir isn't looking for kindness anymore. He's seen where that gets him. He sees in his new master a man who loves his son, trying to do right by his dead wife, and continues to serve. And for perhaps the first time in his life, he commits himself to service, not for the nice words and warm treatment it will bring him, but because he finally believes in what he's doing. He believes in the cause he is serving. And in doing so, he gains a respect greater than any fleeting, superficial kindness he's won from his previous masters. The respect of a righteous god, of a general. of a brother.